Hey ladies. So today I am going over personal development and some of my takeaways from the book that I've been reading that can hopefully help you as well. So a big chapter of this book is called A Guide to Overcoming Your Fears. So I'm still reading You're Made for a God-Sized Dream, which is probably my favorite book so far that I've read. It's by Holly Girth. So this chapter is about overcoming your fear. And I think that's big for all of us. I think all of us have our own setbacks. We have our own fears we get in our own heads that sometimes prevent us from moving forward. So I wanted to share some of my takeaways and some of the excerpts from this book with you. So this is one of the quotes from the book. Fear camps out right next to whatever it is you're called most to do. That means the closer you get to your calling, the louder fear sounds. You must be headed in the right direction. Keep going. Fear is a chihuahua that sounds like a Doberman. So I loved that. I highlighted that. So fear camps out right next to what we're called most to do. I think that's just a powerful statement. It says you will face fear. Fear is a response to a threat. It means there's a risk and something that you value is on the line. If you don't feel that way about your dream, then it's not close enough to God's calling for you. This book is really awesome. So obviously fear is always going to creep up. It's always going to sit right here, camp out right next to you. Something big that you're wanting to do, it's going to be right there. If you didn't want to do something, if you didn't want to pursue this as much as we do, then you're not going to have the fear. It's not going to be your calling. It's not going to be your dream if you're not fearful of something. It's just learning how to overcome these fears, step out of our comfort zone to when great things are going to happen, and figure out how we can just put fear behind us, kick it to the curb, so that we can reach out and talk to people like we are meant to do. Because I think that is one of our biggest fears. I just noticed that kind of looks like I have antlers on my head. One of our biggest fears, I think, is just reaching out to people that, that we're afraid of either hearing no, that we're afraid of, what they may think about us. It's something new to us. It's going out of our comfort zone to reach out to people, to invite them. The connecting sometimes isn't that hard, but to actually get to that point of like, well, do you want to join me? That kind of thing may be a little fearful. So this said, the first step to overcoming fear is to stop avoiding it. You will spend all your time and energy trying to escape fear when you could be using it to pursue your dreams instead. Stop and face the fear. Say, yes, I'm afraid, but fear isn't going to kill me. It's not even going to mind me. So I thought that was pretty awesome too. Like, fear is always going to be there. But you will spend all your time and energy trying to escape when you could be using it to pursue your dreams instead. So instead of sitting there fearful of sending out or connecting to other people, instead of sitting there thinking, well, what if they say no? What if they say, I'm crazy? What if they think I'm trying to sell them something? If we're sitting there just getting in our own way, then we're not going to move forward. Instead, we need to be like, okay, this is maybe a little scary, but I'm going to do it anyway. Life is a risk. There are no guarantees. We also need to ask ourselves, what might I lose if I don't do this? So, now I'm not talking about like fear of bungee jumping, because I don't think anyone should do that. That's just crazy talk right there. But we get in these life situations, and it's with coaching too. Like, ask yourself, what if I don't do this? So what if I don't reach out to her? You know, she may need me and I'm afraid to, you know, ask her. But what if I don't ask her? You know, so that's kind of like, there's this girl that I had talked to, well, that I was friends with in the past through the Army when we were stationed somewhere, and I hadn't talked to her in a long time. I hadn't even seen anything on her, but I didn't even know she had a baby. So she must not have been seeing my newsfeed. I hadn't seen hers, and so I went to her page one time, realized that she had a baby, and so I reached out to her, and I was like, oh my gosh, like, I didn't even know you had a new baby. Congratulations. How are you feeling? You know, we got to talking, and then I just asked her, or talked to her about a challenge group, I think. And she right away was like, yes, I was wanting to do something. And I had, like, if I hadn't have asked her, then she wouldn't have become, you know, more into my life than she already was. Well, she wasn't so much that at that point anyway. But now, you know, she's in my challenge groups, and then she got her mom and her cousin to join with her. And it's all because I just asked her how she was doing and then asked her to join a challenge group. I overcame that fear. And if I hadn't have, that was 3 people that I helped that month because of one person. So you have to ask yourselves, what if I don't? You know, what if I let this fear hold me back? So there was another, at the end of this chapter, it said, confront one small fear this week. Maybe you've been putting it off a phone call, avoiding a difficult task, or something else. Face that fear head on. Ask for God's help and get it done. Then celebrate when you do. So there was another part that said, like, I think it said, I think God is control of me, but I control my fear. So I think with Him, we can overcome those fears a lot easier. There was something about, I think in one of our groups, I don't know if it was Jillian's, at one time there was like a tearing up your fears kind of call or post. And I remember participating in that. And this book had the same idea and said to do the same thing. So if you have not done this already, I strongly encourage it. So get a piece of paper, and I want you to write down your fears. What is it that holds you back? What are you afraid of? And let's go coaching, you know. And there may be some other things in your life that they may be holding you back from a lot of things. But write down those fears. I'm afraid of being told no. I'm afraid of reaching out. I'm afraid of putting myself or surrounding myself with people that I don't know. Like, that's a fear of mine, of going to one of my fears is like going to events, or even it could be Super Saturday. Like, to go by myself is a fear. And oftentimes I may withdraw and hold back because I don't know anyone. I'm not good at, like, once you get to know me, and I'm like comfortable, you know, I have a personality, I'll talk, I'll whatever. But to go into a group of people that I don't know, like, I can get a shell. And I've been like that since I was like really little. I've always been like that. And I'm not going to say I will always be like that, because I can overcome that fear. But that is one of my fears. So you write down your fears on a piece of paper on one side. And then on the other side, I want you to write down the positive potential to actually overcoming each of those fears. So for example, my fear is being told no. That's on one side. Well, to put on the other side of that, well, but what if they say yes? Or not even maybe what if, you could be like, I'm afraid of being told no. They're going to tell me yes. They're going to say yes. So for every fear that you have, put the positive next to it of what could and will happen if you kick that fear to the curb. Once you get that list, you can either do it on 2 different pieces of paper, or you can split it down the middle and tear off the fear side and then tear that up and throw your fears away. And then keep that positive side, and keep that maybe in your office, in your journal, or something that you can look back to when you start to have that fear creep in. Then you can refer back to that and be like, oh no, because what if they say yes? And they could possibly say yes. They're going to say yes. I'm going to reach out. You know, that could definitely help. So yeah, tear up the fears and kick them to the curb. So that was a big takeaway from that book. So I think I had one more. I was trying to find it here. Okay, so I will come back to that. So yeah, what fears do you have and how are you going to overcome them?